Well, hello everybody and welcome to this Tuesday's MBE Heroes. I am John, of course, from MBE, here to discuss some very interesting comic book movie news related topics. First things first, I am slightly behind the curve, not ahead of the curve, as one Heath Ledger waxed lyrically about in The Dark Knight. Have to speak about the Batman, just have to. The whole show will be predominantly dominated by the Batman. Just the thing is a homogenous whole. There's so many little interesting tidbits and topics coming out of this, none more so than the actual production of the movie hitting my hometown over the weekend there. It was in Glasgow from the 22nd to the 23rd. I believe it's still in Scotland, filming somewhere at the moment. I don't know if it's still Glasgow. It certainly isn't filming just along the road, a good 15 minutes drive away in Townhead. So I don't know where it is at the moment, but we got some really intriguing shots from behind the scenes of the Batman production. So much going on in there, none more so than an actual shot of the bat suit itself, a more clear shot if you like. Of course, we got that nice little 55-second reveal of parts of Robert Pattinson's interesting looking suit. We've seen some mechanical elements going on in the actual bat logo. No ears, but a really intriguing looking sort of cowl, I want to call it, and just a sort of utilitarian look to this suit. Now we have the stunt double here scurrying around the streets of Glasgow on a motorbike as well, and we get a more wholesome look at this suit. And I think it's fair to say that those rumours that we have seen floating around from leaks on the production of this movie, that this is just a prototype early version of the Batsuit, I think it's clear that those rumours are probably correct. They go on to say that there is a real eureka moment involving a cathedral. I believe it's a funeral scene or something. You would think that would be interconnected to the shots we're seeing here, because it is and was filmed in one of the more older cemeteries over here in the United Kingdom, in Glasgow, the necropolis. So I would imagine that will be intertwined with what we're seeing in this cathedral scene. And what they say essentially is this leak suggests that the cathedral scene ends in chaos. I think it actually is blown apart, the actual cathedral, and this causes Batman's suit to sustain some quite a bit of damage. And then obviously he has to go and change the suit into what is going to be the proper suit going throughout this series of movies that Matt Reeves is creating. Now, look, I have to say, we haven't seen that new suit. I've seen this suit. I don't think it's that bad. We've seen this done before in the likes of Arrow. They kind of put together a makeshift suit to take them through the early stages of their journey and the movie, and then they slowly add bits onto it and then perhaps completely redesign it, as is being rumoured, as I did say. I think the suit looks okay. It's nothing special, but it's not offensively bad either. It's very, as I did say, utilitarian. I do like the chest piece. I don't hate the helmet. I think the ears are okay, and I like those sort of little, I don't know what you'd call them, goggles? Is it goggles? Because it's kind of assimilated into the helmet, so perhaps isn't, but I like what's going on with the eyes in this suit. More interestingly though, there seems to be some makeshift gadgetry going on here that looks like we're having little silver arrow pieces or titanium pieces on his gauntlet on the arm. Quite like that. I think that's perhaps hinting at this being a slightly different take on Batman, a man who's not afraid to use some force, as I will get into in the next topic. I like the motorbike. I like the freneticism involving this behind the scenes shots. I've seen videos of it. More importantly though, we do get to see Catwoman as well in this little 2-day shoot in and around the streets of Glasgow. Zoe Kravitz was there. She was wearing a not so iconic looking Catwoman suit or cat suit, and that maybe again hints at this being the beginnings of something. We are seeing, and we've seen it before with Matt Reeves, obviously puts down a 50th anniversary of the very first edition of the Batman comic, and on a table, and takes a shot of it on Instagram, and I think that right away hints that he is wanting this to be the very beginning of the story, the origins of the character. will be deeply embedded in this first movie. And what better way to kind of emphasise that in terms of a visual aesthetic than having these characters all sort of wearing prototype suits. They're not quite comfortable in the skins of these heroic personas or nefarious personas yet, and they're kind of tiptoeing around and finding their way into the psyche of these iconic characters. But look, I digress. I've spoke the absolute hind legs off of nothing there, really. I really like the Batsuit. I think the Catwoman suit looks okay. It's just leather. She's wearing a motorbike or a motorcycle helmet. Some people immediately ascertained that it was Zoe Kravitz right away, and I think they were right because we got a close-up shot and it definitely was Kravitz. But the suit looks very bulky. He doesn't look anything like Robert Pattinson, let's be honest. He's more like Ben Affleck. But I don't think that'll matter. This will be very quick, sort of wide shot sequences of the more high octane action things that are going to happen in this movie. Very wet weekend in Glasgow, incidentally. We had a named storm over here, Storm Dennis. We were getting hailstones, hail showers, whatever you want to call them. We were getting rain, snow, sleet, all in the one day. So it'll be intriguing to see how they fit this in to the movie. Is this going to be a very wet movie, this Batman movie, for large sections? Lord knows, because London was getting hit with it as well. But look, all in all, really like the early shots we're getting of the Batman. I'm excited for this movie, just as a whole, what they're doing with story, what they're doing with the characters. And this early prototype shots of the suit and the shots we're getting of it looks okay. I'm not offended, as I did say, at all. I think it looks very utilitarian, and it looks like a suit which a young sort of socialite guy, still really finding his way into this sort of vigilante dual persona role. I think it's a perfect look for that. And yeah, look man, I'm going to move on to an interconnected Batman topic. This one's all about Jeffrey Wright, speaking about his core inspiration for this character in the upcoming Matt Reeves movie. And I find this so fascinating on so many levels. He put a simple post up on Instagram, and it was of Batman the Golden Age. Now, why do I find this so fascinating? Because the fact this man is earthing in and mining into these core stories which were the beginning of the Batman story so many years ago. Again, interlinking with what I said previously, the Matt Reeves sort of core inspiration, going back to the detective heavy side, the deductive skills of Batman, and just showing us that first ever issue of the Batman comics. This is all interconnecting into what I was getting at about 25 seconds to a minute ago when I says that it's all going to be an origin story. This is the beginning of something that's going to be fleshed out in numerous movies. And why do I find this so fascinating? Well, having not read it, I had to go on and read just the meat and bones of what these stories really reflect in terms of the Batman character and all of the other players in and around in this Batman the Golden Age sort of collection of stories and early graphic novels. And I just find it fascinating that this is a distinctly different Batman that we have got in these early variants. They're still fleshing out the character. He is very much a socialite. That's something which a dual personality socialite, vigilante by night, cool, classy, businessman socialite by day. That's something that's transcended 80 odd years of storytelling. But this is a man in these stories who is not afraid to use real force, and he has killed numerous people in these early graphic novel stories. And I find that intriguing because I spoke about it before. DC are not shying away from using R-rated movies in this new dawn for the DC verse of different obviously movies and whatnot. We've seen it with Joker, we've seen it with Harley Quinn, or the fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. And there was rumours that they were ploughing ahead after the success of Joker with more R-rated movies. And what do you get in R-rated movies? You get lots of violence, profanity if it's required, and just lots of killing and blood and guts. And I'm really excited at the possibility that we could see a Batman who has a no-kill code, doesn't have a no-kill code if I can spell it out correctly. A man who will do what's necessary to exact vengeance and justice on the streets of Gotham. And I think it again connects with what we've seen from those behind the scenes shots in Glasgow and further afield. The working title of this movie is currently Vengeance, so I think vengeance is going to be a core theme throughout this story. A man who is trying to get over the killings of his parents, so much so he may even have the gun responsible for killing his parents in the actual batsuit on his chest plate. A man who will go out and enact vengeance and violence upon the Penguin, upon the Riddler, and all of the goons and hoodlums who are running around the streets of Gotham. Incidentally, the behind the scenes sequences, I found it so fascinating. We were seeing number plates and whatnot, Gotham number plates being put on the actual cars to cover up the British registration plates, painting over or putting gravel over the road markings and whatnot. It's just amazing to be getting whisked in to this world where they just create these big blockbuster movies. So fascinating. But yeah, look, this is an early insight into this iconic character. A man who's distinctly different. And just the fact that he does use the power of deduction a lot more. He uses his detector things. It's steeped in mystery, these early stories. We have multiple villainous, shadowy figures plotting out some nefarious actions in Gotham, and he has to use his deduction and his friends around him, perhaps Catwoman, certainly Robin, but he will not be in this movie, I hope, to really ascertain who the bad guy is and then bring him down by any means necessary. I find it so fascinating. I'm really glad to see Jeffrey Wright post that little snippet up, because again, it just gives us a sense of where Matt Reeves and the rest of the people involved in this production are going with this great character. And maybe going a different route, allied with an R-rated rating. So, I mean, I've spoke hind legs off this movie for weeks on end. I cannot wait to see it. So cool to see it hit my hometown in terms of production. So cool to see Jeffrey Wright giving us little pearls of insight into the core message, the core inspiration that is fueling this very cool movie, which has been likened to a Pixies concert. But look, guys, I'm going to move on to the next topic. This one is again DC related. It's coming from Collider. They have compiled a list of upcoming DC movies, and I've simply put down in that little graphics bar which one has the most potential. So I will quickly batter through the upcoming rumoured and confirmed DC releases and give my thoughts on which ones I find to be exciting and really have great potential, and which one perhaps I'm looking the most forward to. I think probably already have a general gist of which one is going to be my most anticipated, because I've been speaking about it for weeks on end. But yes, look, Wonder Woman 1984 is the next one in the pipeline. Really excited for this movie. Can't wait to see what Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot and Chris Pine have got in store for us. It looks so zany, it looks so colourful. Pedro Pascal is playing the antagonist, and he is just a fantastic actor as well. I'm really digging the feel of this movie, everything about it, the way it's shot, the action sequences, the score, the characters, the actual actors themselves are bringing their A game. So yeah, that's right up there for me. Right up there, cannot wait to see it. The Batman is next after that, coming out of course next year on June 25th, 2021. Don't have to speak about this one. That's probably my number one most anticipated movie in the next year or so, in terms of comic book releases anyway. Just I love Batman. My favourite comic book character, you could argue, certainly from DC. Probably from Marvel, it'd have to be Spider-Man still, because he's just an amazing character. But look, I'm so excited for the Batman. That's right up there as well. The Suicide Squad, absolutely. It has great potential. James Gunn, Margot Robbie. We do have the likes of Idris Elba coming in, Viola Davis, Michael Rooker, Joel Kinnaman, John Cena, Jai Courtney. The list is endless. David Dastmalchian, Taika Waititi. Just so promising. The blending of James Gunn's eccentricity, his great use of music, really intriguing sort of writing techniques and styles that he introduces into his movies, aligned with some really cool actors, and this is going to be a real hit. And so much better than that David Ayer movie we got from a couple of years back. Very excited for that, right up there. Probably my number 3 in terms of the overall releases set to come out. And they go on to see an untitled Black Adam movie next. This is of course the Dwayne Johnson movie. It hasn't started shooting yet that I am aware of. It's still in development. But Dwayne has been hitting the gym already, and my god does that man look jacked. Even more so than usual. I think he will be fantastic in this. I think DC and Warner Brothers are doing the right thing by keeping him separated from, obviously, Shazam. You don't want to blow your load immediately by having these two iconic characters, nemesis sort of characters, iconic in terms of the comics, coming together too early. So they've did the right thing, they've separated it, they're giving Shazam breathing room, he's getting a second movie, hopefully Zachary Levi, and then they will introduce Black Adam as a perhaps not out and out antagonist, but a sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, anti-heroine, sort of anti-hero. He's not a heroine. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of Dwayne Johnson, so yeah, excited for that one. I don't know if it's in my top 5, but I'm definitely excited for it. Shazam 2 is next though. This is one that is in my top 5, probably my number 5 most anticipated movie in the next few years. 2022 it's coming out. They are saying it's still in development. Really surprised by the first Shazam movie. Thought Zachary did a fantastic job. Really liked the humour, the difference in tone. It showed that DC and Warner Brothers can do dark storytelling. They can do R-rated, but they can also do light-hearted family fun for all demographics. And yeah, really excited to see what that brings. Probably my number 5 out of the upcoming movies. My number 4 would probably be this next one, The Flash. Just super excited to see what Ezra Miller's doing with this. I know that he was given an ultimatum to try and write this movie by July last year, or he was losing the actual role of The Flash, and he seemed to win out, and he is working in conjunction with Andy Muschietti, of course, of It fame. So this is going to be a darker story. He wanted a darker telling for the character, and I cannot wait to see what the hell they do with this. He's such a cool character. Ezra Miller's a fantastic actor, and if they can do justice with a good movie, with a good script, it's got so much potential to be right up there in terms of one of the best DC movies in recent times. They then go on to list Aquaman 2. I'm excited for that as well. The Trench, that's a sort of horror movie. That is also very exciting. It's James Wan who's involved in that, and who can forget his proclivity with horror? This is a very talented guy. We've got Batgirl. Okay, I'm not really that up for that one. Green Lantern Corps. Oh, don't want to see that. But the other one that really excites me before I move on swiftly is Black Hawk. And why? Because it is Steven goddamn Spielberg who's doing this World War II sort of air fighter superhero character. And this is a superhero movie with a difference, like what we've seen with Joker and probably what we've seen with Logan and whatnot. It's within the comic book genre, but it's doing something distinctly different within that genre. And he's such an iconic and great director. I cannot wait to see what the hell he brings to this genre and what he brings to this intriguing looking character. So yeah, I think that will just about round up my brief little discussion of my most anticipated and most movies, the movies with the most potential in the upcoming slate for DC. And on that note, I'll swiftly move on to the penultimate topic on tonight's, or on today's show I should say, depending on where you are and when you're watching it. And this one is coming from Digital Spy, and it's all about Marvel's Tom Holland, and he's revealing the true story behind the phone call which saved Spider-Man. In truth though, this is a sort of double whammy, just discussing the fallout of obviously the Sony Marvel conflict and fight over the Spider-Man character. Now of course it was revealed that Tom Holland had a one-to-one and poured his heart out with Bob Iger whilst he was slightly drunk. And it grew arms and legs, this story, and it eventually became sort of hearsay that he was completely rattled out of his nut on drink, and he was kind of speaking incoherently over the phone to Bob Iger. Well, Tom has come out and revealed that that indeed is not the case. He says that he did have a couple of beers, but he certainly wasn't rattled out his napper on drink or whatnot, and he did say that it was probably slightly responsible for saving the character in terms of his MCU future. He says, I told the story that I had a few pints and Bob rang me, and then you read and it's like Tom Holland was lying on the floor totally drunk when he spoke to Bob Iger. As I did say, I mean, I had a couple of beers, it wasn't like I was smashed. He then went on to say that it was a very stressful situation and that helped him take the edge off before this conversation with Bob Iger. And he says it's how you deal with them which makes you what you are, and I feel like he handled it pretty well. So look, it's very, very cool to see that he was at the forefront of pushing this character on and hopefully trying to get it to remain in the MCU. A man who's distinctly passionate about the character. We've seen that before. He was speaking about how it was his dream role to play Peter Parker or Spider-Man. And I find it so cool to see that this man is so invested in this character, in its future, and remaining part of this sort of tight-knit fraternity within the MCU, the likes of, obviously, Mark Ruffalo and, well, not Chris Evans now, but Chris Hemsworth and maybe Chris Pratt and whatnot. That he wanted this character to remain in there. He fought hard for it. And another thing that he also says, though, in spite of this perhaps passionate plea for it remaining in the MCU, was that if it wasn't to be that Sony did have a real wonderful idea to transition Spidey out of the MCU. And this one came in from comicbookmovie.com, and it says in a rather lengthy MTV News quote, "Future for Spider-Man was still very bright with Sony, and we had a really, really wonderful idea of how we could sort of transition into a Spider-Man without the MCU. And Tim Rothman and Amy Pascal were really confident that they were going to do justice and make a film of that calibre that Spider-Man requires." He says that essentially he was really glad to be back in the MCU, and that the team that they have brought back together kind of feel like that's where the character belongs. But that it probably would have worked out for the best regardless. And I agree with him. We spoke about this before, me and Stephen. I think the character should remain in the MCU because I feel like it's already had its origins and its story developed out, this connection with Tony Stark, and he was being thrust into a sort of leading role, taking on the mantra of Tony Stark in his wake. And I wanted to see that continue, at least on for a couple of movies, so I was glad that a deal was concluded between the two warring studios eventually. But likewise, I do agree with Tom here that if it wasn't to be, and if Sony did take full ownership back of the character, have a little drink here. My throat is getting a little bit dry. If this wasn't to be and they were to transition over, I think they would have had a nice sort of backup plan in place. And look, Sony have created so many good Spider-Man movies over the years, so you could argue they've made 2 bad ones, and I would say 4 really good to excellent ones. So the character is firmly in safe hands, regardless of what happens in the future. And look, they hold all the rights to the villains that matter, the likes of Venom, the likes of Morbius, the likes of Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin. And obviously, they have the likes of Kang, the Conqueror and whatnot, so they hold all the aces, they hold all the real cards in their hand. And so, if it wasn't to have been, and if it isn't to be in the future, then I have complete confidence, if Tom Holland is staying with the likes of Zendaya, that this character will continue on and it will reign supreme at the box office, because all Spider-Man movies have, in the main, from the early 2000s and Sam Raimi's editions onwards. But look, I'm excited to see what this guy does going forward with this character in the MCU, and I just cannot wait to see how he's going to fit into this sort of mentor-like figure for maybe some younger characters moving forward. Will he be a mentoring sort of Tony Stark figure in 2-3 movies' times before this deal expires with Disney once again? But look guys, time will tell with that one. I'm going to move on to the final topic. This will be a very short discussion indeed. Time is running out here swiftly for this camera limit. And this one is coming in from Screen Rant, and it's all about James Gunn teasing a high body count as multiple actors wrap up. Now this is essentially came from a sort of rap Instagram post. He posted up that a lot of the cast members were done with their stints on the Suicide Squad production, and that I think it was shooting in Panama, and that they were finished on their sort of roles. And this led to much consternation, much speculation that some of these characters were biting the bullet. I think there was quite a few ones in there, the likes of John Cena and Kinnaman were both done working on the movie after Panama, and there was perhaps a lot of speculation from various quarters that this may hint that these characters don't make it to the very end of the movie. Well, James did come out and sort of put the kibosh on that relatively quickly by saying that although a lot of the characters don't make it to the end, this movie wasn't shot in sequential order. It was shot out of sync, with different scenes being shot, at different points. The end could have been shot at the beginning could be shot at the end. And so you shouldn't read too much into it. But he does say that, look, it's a Suicide Squad. I'm heavily paraphrasing here. It is a Suicide Squad movie. And just the general nature of this movie indicates and should really predicate that a lot of characters are going to die throughout the duration of this movie. And I completely agree with him. It's something we need to see. I don't think enough characters died in the first Suicide Squad movie. I recall one guy took the rap early on to really show the audience that if you don't kind of keep in check and you want to go and do a runner, well, your head's going to be blown off with this sort of timed explosive neck collar thing. So I didn't think there was enough deaths of the actual Suicide Squad members in that movie. And look, I think we will see a more expendable sort of X-Force Deadpool 2 sort of Suicide Squad at the beginning, and they will meet a grisly fate at some point. Some will make it through, some won't, and then we'll have the meat and bones of the proper Suicide Squad moving on to the end of the movie. I'm really excited for this one, as I did say. Can't wait to see what James does with these very interesting, colourful characters, how he will implement the music in, and what the story will be like. Can it be better than the original? Surely it has to be. Lord knows, time will tell, guys, but look, I'm going to round up this show by putting it back over to you if you are watching. What is your thoughts on the Batman? Do you like the suit? Do you think it's shite? What do you make about this Jeffrey Wright, the Batman Golden Age inspiration, as a source of inspiration, if you'd like? What do you make about the up-and-coming DC slate? What's your thoughts on Tom Holland and Spider-Man and all that jazz? If you have anything to say at all, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. And if you do, then you will see me again tomorrow for MBE Movie News.